Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a little bit harder for me to make and difficult for me to talk about because it's about how Scientology basically bankrupted me, and I'm still suffering the consequences of my financial actions from when I was in the Church of Scientology. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that today, and if you're out there right now and you have given money to Scientology and you are in a hard place financially, I just hope that my video helps you not feel alone, because there isn't just one person out there who was victimized financially by Scientology. Basically, anyone who was a parishioner, is a parishioner of the Church of Scientology, has been asked for money, and substantial amounts of money, tens of thousands of dollars, which is what I donated. Now, I got into the church when I was 18 years old. That was hard for me to always be giving like large sums of money because I wasn't in the same place as some of these other people were that were business owners or just had really great jobs. I was in Hollywood trying to become an actor, and I was doing background jobs on TV shows. It's not a way to make a substantial living, let's put it that way. And any money I made should be going just straight to my bills. Like any of the money I made, you know, if I ever had an extra $1,000 or $2,000, that should have been in my pocket for a rainy day, because that work dries up fast in the entertainment industry. So I was getting hit left and right for every Scientology, registrar, from all of them, whether it was for my bridge, whether it was for training, whether it was for superpower, whether it was for an ideal org. Like there was always something that Scientology was asking money-wise from me, like they're, demanding donations. So I put them on credit cards, and obviously if you've seen my documentary, you know what they would do. They would take out credit cards in my names, and they would be doing fraudulent things in order to meet their stats and to get money in the organization and that sort of thing. So yeah, I was giving thousands of dollars to Scientology, whether it was me willingly giving to them or them stealing it from me, and money under my name and under my social security number was taken from me from the Church of Scientology. So I left the church, obviously, and here I am thinking that, Scientology was supposed to improve my life, improve my finances, and do all these things, and it didn't, and now I'm stuck with the $50,000 bill. So I got really depressed. I was very suicidal when I came out of the church, and I just didn't know what to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be an actor, but that wasn't really working out for me, so I needed like a plan B, and things were like all in shambles because my business was crumbling at this point, because I had a company called Talent Mailings, and we would send out postcards and other promotional materials to agents and managers on behalf of actors, because I was really good with like the marketing side of the entertainment industry. And that started to dry up, and I'm getting, my minimum payments on my credit cards were $1,200, okay? Now, that isn't just like, oh, here you go, here's $1,200 cash. Like, I'd be lucky if I had, $200 to put towards my credit cards every month. I mean, money was that tight. I just didn't have the ability just to pay these $1,200 monthly payments. So I had to basically default on all my credit cards, and it's just so embarrassing to say and to think about how I had to do that, and because you feel bad about yourself, like you want to do the right thing, you want to pay off the credit cards, and you want to, you have every intention when you take another course or you do another service, like, okay, if I flow $1,000 to Scientology, $1,000 will flow back to me. That sounds silly now saying that, but that was kind of like the rationale, and that's what they would tell you. If you're doing a service worth $100,000, you're going to be able to bring in another $100,000, because it's like, you're playing a bigger game. It's like law of attraction, sort of, in human English terms. That's kind of how Scientology would put it. So I was defaulting on my credit cards. I was getting calls every single day from collectors and from the credit card people, and couldn't answer my phone. Again, I'm still depressed during this time. I'm not making like really any money. I'm in hairdressing school probably at this point, and I'm just thinking like, when I'm a hairdresser, like when I'm a big Beverly Hills hairdresser, I mean, I'm a Beverly Hills hairdresser now and I'm not making millions of dollars, but when I do get to be at that place where I'm this, superstar hairdresser, then yeah, I'll pay off those credit cards. So I started getting into more credit card debt on top of the Scientology debt. So I have the Scientology debt here, and then I'm like, let me go out to eat, let me go do these different things. I was trying to like make myself happy. I was trying to do things to take myself out of this hole that I was in. And, well, not take myself out of the hole that I was in, because going out to eat's not helping the, going out to eat's not helping the credit card bills in any way, but I was just doing things to make myself happy. I was coming up with money-making schemes. I was doing different things to try to like get money, and nothing was really working. So I'm like, well, I'll just file for bankruptcy. Like, that's going to be the easiest thing. Like, I'll just file for bankruptcy. And I was very relieved thinking about the idea that, oh, I can just file for bankruptcy and I can get out of this pile of debt, start my life over fresh. Like, that's what bankruptcy is for, right? I contacted an attorney. I go to try to file bankruptcy, and then I'm told, you make too much money to qualify for bankruptcy. And I'm like, you make too much money to qualify for bankruptcy? Okay, like, I wouldn't be trying to file for bankruptcy if I had the money to pay my bills. So isn't the purpose of bankruptcy protection there for people who like are, like myself, in this position where I can't pay off my bills? So then it's like, yeah, well, your combined income with your spouse is just too high. Like, we can't do anything with bankruptcy, but we can settle your credit card debt, where basically you paid less than the amount owed on your credit cards, and then therefore they'll be considered like settled, paid in full. I mean, it's not good on your credit. Like, you're still suffering your credit, but I mean, I didn't pay my credit cards for 1.5 years at this point, so, or at least 1 year. So how much worse can my credit be than not paying on 10 credit cards? Like, might as well try to make right by some of these creditors and start paying them down, right? So this is another one of my money-making schemes that I try to do. I'm over the money-making schemes, but this was one of my bright ideas, was to do a paid drug study where you're basically like a guinea pig, and they either give you like an experimental drug, or they have like sleep studies where they deprive you of sleep, and they like put electrodes on your brain to kind of see like what happens like when you're deprived of sleep. Like, all these different like medical scientific studies can pay you thousands of dollars. So I went into a study and I made, I think it was about $7,000, and I was gone at a medical facility in Glendale, California, and I was there for 12 days. 12 to 14 days I was there for, like overnight, like don't leave, you're inpatiented, and they observe you, and they do these different like brain tests. I had to go into an MRI machine, and I had to look up and play a video game in the MRI machine, like as they're examining like my brain processing and stuff. Like, it was really like, it was traumatizing, honestly, to know that, you're getting these scientific experiments done on you that hasn't been done on anyone before. But the reason I did it was so I can start paying off this debt. Now, it's sad to think about, because if we go back in time, if we go back to when I was 18 years old, and you say your 20-something-year-old self at the time, 24, 25-year-old self, is going to be a guinea pig in a medical experiment to pay down crippling amounts of Scientology debt, where you got post-traumatic stress disorder, and your whole life was, crumbling in bills and depression and sadness and all these other things, all due to L. Ron Hubbard. Like, if I knew that at 18 years old, I wouldn't have signed the dotted line. I wouldn't have joined the church. But even if I went online and I Googled about Scientology, I don't think it would have stopped me, because I already had them influencing my mind. Like, maybe before I went, that's one thing. Because then, it's like going to a car salesman. If you read, oh, they give you a lemon, you're not going to go to that dealership. But if you're already at the dealership and the dealer is sweet-talking you, you may be like, okay, yeah, like that car's good. And then you find out it's a lemon. I kind of think of it like in that way. It's like an easier analogy if you don't really understand like the whole Scientology process. So, I gave that money all to my lawyer. This isn't a good way to be getting money for paying down Scientology debt, but I was playing Baccarat. Now, my husband's probably rolling his eyes right now if he's watching this video, and anyone else, but I went to the casino a couple times, and I would play in these high-stakes Baccarat games. Now, Baccarat is basically like a coin flip. You're betting on two sides, player, banker. They deal 2 cards on each side. Whichever comes closest to 9 wins. So if this is a 7 and this is an 8, then you win here on the banker side. You just bet on one of the two sides. And it's a very easy game. They have side bets. They pay you 40 to 1. If you get a 3-card 7, like a 2, 2, and a 3, then they pay you 40 to 1 on your money. And if you have $50 on it, they pay you $2,000. And that money would be going towards my lawyer and my legal fees, into my living expenses, because I was getting started with my career and all this sort of stuff. So that wasn't a good way. I learned the hard way that, you know, you don't want to be gambling your way out of a financial hole because you lose once or twice and then you lost $4,000 or something, and, you know, that's not a good place to be in either. So luckily it worked out in the short term, and I was able to use some of the money to pay down my debt. So thankfully that worked. I am now all about just working hard, using my own money from hairdressing to pay down my bills the normal human way, not by being a guinea pig, not by playing Baccarat, not by, you know, doing any of these tricks. Like, I'm over that. I want to just live a normal life. So my lawyer started settling my credit cards, and he settled one at like 15 cents on the dollar, which was amazing. So say you owe $1,000, I settled it for $150. It was like that, but only several $1,000s of that. So say, I can't like disclose like which bank it was, which creditor, because obviously that's against like the terms of the agreement when you settle these credit cards. They're all about like 20%, 25%. One of the higher ones, I got this really aggressive creditor. I probably should call them out. And these guys are super aggressive. I had a balance on a credit card that was, let me try to think, how much was it? Maybe like $3,000 or something, and I ended up having to settle it for like more than what I owed initially because I tacked on all these fees. So I basically paid like 80% of the balance, which, like, if I knew that, I would have just paid it in full and still had that credit card open. Like, come on. You know, people are in these very hard financial places. You can't be taking advantage of them, you know? Clearly I couldn't afford to pay you in the first place. But this is all what happens after you leave Scientology. You don't leave and then you just have a little bit of depression or whatever. This is for almost 5 years after the fact. Okay? And I'm still dealing with the repercussions of this. And I'm struggling because, like, my computer's broken now, but I still have 2 more credit cards to settle, and it's not going to take much. It'll probably take me $5,000 to $10,000 more to settle these other credit cards, so it's nothing compared to the $50,000 to $75,000 of debt that I had in the beginning. So, you know, at least some of the pressure is getting off of my back. But, you know, I'm realizing, you know, when I'm at work, you know, people, you know, get their hours cut short. You know, this wasn't like that when you're on set. Like, when I used to work on set, they'd pay you for the full day even if you work 2 hours. So now if I work at work and they cut my hours down to 4 hours or something, depending on who's tipping at the salon, you know, sometimes times are rough. You get really great months and really down months. And I'm trying to, you know, still learn how to save for that rainy day. And I can't save for that rainy day because I'm still picking up the pieces for my Scientology mess. So the reason I share this story, even though it's embarrassing and whatever, is that I need to let other people know about what Scientology does to you. They take your money, they use it to build their big fancy buildings, and then you leave the church, you get kicked out of the church, whatever happens to you, and you're basically about bankrupt with nothing in your life. And they take your money, and I have money on account. They're never going to give me that money back unless I somehow found a way to sue them in some loophole, because it was money on account, not money that I paid towards a service. And it's like a savings account, like they owe me that money. But, you know, I can't do anything about that right this moment, unless everyone wants to come together with me and file a class action suit against them. Let me know, and I can get a lawyer on that for us. But in reality, knowing things, I'm not counting on that money coming back to me. So thanks so much for listening to this, guys. Check out my other videos. If you're not familiar, you'll learn a little bit more about the Scientology experience and what actually happens. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel. I want to make more videos for you guys, but I can't do that if no one watches. So please subscribe to my channel. And yep, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.